welcome into Between the Pylons. I'm Jean Camacho.
And this is Jacob Waters.
And guys, welcome into any new listeners. We've had a lot of new listeners over the past couple of weeks. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching and listening. You guys, please check us out. You can subscribe at Between Pylons on YouTube. Download every week on the podcast app of your choice. All those good things really help us out. Rate, review, all those things. Guys, let's get into the show. Big news this week. With the college football season, we're going to get into that. The Big Ten and Pac-12 literally canceled when Jacob was on his way over here to record the pod. So we had to rework an entire segment that we had for the show that was dedicated to what's going to happen, and then it happened. So great timing for us. Glad it didn't happen right after we were finished recording. That would have sucked. We also are going to go around the NFL and touch on a couple interesting stories from camp. This is going to be fantasy football related. We're going to try and do that every week, give people a little bit more in-depth information. Obviously, as we do every week, we will go around the rest of the NFL news and big news that happened this week. A couple great segments this week. What are we doing? Fantasy football profile?
Yeah, we got fantasy profile. We have the top 10 wide receiver duos in the NFL.
Top 10?
And top 5.
I was going to say, I didn't do 10.
I didn't do 10 either. I didn't do 10. Can't find 10.
All right, and that's going to round out our show this week. All right, well, let's get started. We buried the lead a little bit. The Big Ten and Pac-12 canceled football, and by cancel, they might postpone it to September to the spring, of 2021. We don't know. There's a lot of stuff we don't know at this point. But man, what's your raw reaction?
We've never seen anything like this before.
Never.
And I don't know what's going to happen. So it came out a few days ago that they canceled. Ended up that was just a rumor, and they weren't for sure if it was postponed.
It was a whole thing about exactly.
And the only two athletic directors out of the Big Ten that got leaked that said no was Nebraska and Iowa, I believe. So, that's Ohio State too. And we saw the We Want to Play movement go down over these past few days with the college players.
Yeah.
Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence were two of the biggest names that were outspoken about really wanting to play and big advocates for making sure they get out on the field.
The face of college football right now.
Exactly.
I would argue.
And I really can't believe, I don't know what the landscape of football is going to look like this fall. I don't know if there will be football this fall.
No, I don't think there's even college.
From what it sounds like, the SEC commissioner, Greg Sankey, said that they're moving forward.
Yeah.
But the weird part about the Big Ten is that they said that they have, the commission said, undisclosed medical advice saying that they need to not go forward with this. And it's like, I really think that if it's this big of a deal that you cancel football across all, you need to let that information be known. Because you need to let the Pac-12 know. You need to let SEC know. As far as I know, the SEC and Big 12 are moving forward. If it's this groundbreaking news that could, change the way, anyone's health, you need to let that be known. You need to just lay it all out on the table. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Man, I'm shocked. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things that I think should be noted on things that could happen, right? We don't know anything right now. All we know is it's canceled. The Big Ten and Pac-12 are not going to be moving forward with the normal college season. That's all we know for sure. There's been different schools. I know Nebraska came out and already the head coach from Nebraska already came out and said they are looking at every possible avenue.
Yeah.
Penn State and
Michigan.
A lot of big name head coaches have already come out and said we're going to look at other avenues. I know it's been brought up that there could just be one massive conference this year, and everyone who wants to play, go to the SEC. And if there's teams in the SEC that don't want to play, don't play. And that just kind of is what it is. It'd be weird.
Oh, it's scary.
It'd be super scary.
Just because I don't know the format that's going to happen because I'm an SEC homer. We all know that. I'm an Auburn fan at heart. I prefer the SEC, and I have always said that the average SEC could go into another conference and be not win it all, but be one of the big dogs over there. So it looks like we're about to really see what it's made of.
That argument is going to be tested.
It is. It just sucks that two of the best teams, Ohio State and Clemson, are really damn good this year, and it looks like they're going to come into the SEC.
Yeah.
Now,
we don't know about the ACC, right? We haven't heard really anything about the ACC.
Not yet, but I do know that Clemson is going. Clemson pretty much runs the ACC right now in terms of what's going to happen. And Dabo and Trevor have both said that they want to play. So you think that they have to.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with that. Of course they're going to play. It's Clemson. They can't pass up on a chance to win a national championship. I think that's what every big school is probably thinking right
Trevor
now.
Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields know that this is their last year. They'll go pro next year no matter what.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Man, it's so ridiculous. There's been conversations of pushing it to spring. I know I mentioned that. what does that look like playing in a spring season and then turning around and trying to play in theoretically playing in that same fall? So you would have 2 seasons in 2020 year.
You would, and
that would be weird, right?
It would be really weird just to see how it goes for guys that are going to be going on to the pros too. I mean, because a lot of times you have that dead period from like January to late March, April. You have a spring game every now and then, you know, for certain teams.
Yeah.
But if they are choosing to do this, is the season going to end late March and then you're going to go straight to your pro day and then straight to the draft?
Yeah, then you're just completely wearing your body out. I mean,
it's different.
It's really strange because we actually talk about a lot, and it's kind of been a storyline over the years. Not this year, obviously for obvious reasons, but you know, rookies that go from playing in the national championship or you know the top final 4 games of the year, and then go to your Senior Bowl, and then go to the combine, and then go to rookie mini camps, and then like they don't really get an off season.
It's a quick turnover.
Yeah, it's a huge turnover, and you talk about sophomores in the NFL, second year guys that actually get to have that off season for the first time, first NFL off season, and they perform so much better in their second year. That's kind of a common theme that happens in the NFL pretty regularly. Now you're talking about putting an entire season, like not just a couple big events that you have to be fully prepared for, but an entire season during spring. Yeah, I don't see how that works. I guess it could work for underclassmen. I mean, are you just going to have a JV league? I mean, essentially,
it's going to be really weird to see how it goes. I could see from a higher up perspective about national exposure. If you were able to push yourself to the spring, there wouldn't be hardly any other football going on. So, I mean, you would be the market. You would dominate that little period of time. Your conference would get the most exposure. Your guys, blah, blah, blah. You get the point. But on the flip, SEC's looking to do that right now. I've heard that the SEC is privately contacting Fox, ESPN, all these other networks to try to figure out, hey, if we get Oklahoma, Texas, Clemson, Ohio State, how are they going to fit in? Who's going to get this limelight? Who's going to fit in where? And if they can do that, man, they're the winners here. They are the absolute winners. Everyone is going to be having their eyes on.
I think casual college fans are the biggest winners.
We're going to get to see some loaded games.
Because you know me, I'm big into the NFL and I love college to watch scouting and stuff. But like on a weekly basis, on a Saturday, just on a regular Saturday, there's 1 or 2 games that are super interesting to me outside of my team in Florida State, right?
Yeah, that have true national.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's pretty fair for a lot of people, across the country.
Yeah.
Can you imagine having all the best teams in one, like truly all the powerhouse teams? Because you would have the Ohio States facing Alabama, Auburn, LSU, like you'd have the Oklahomas, you'd have the LSUs, all of those teams like actually facing each other in one giant fucking loaded ass conference where the cupcake games aren't the actual cupcake games where like
your cupcake is getting to take on like Mississippi State.
That's
or something.
Exactly where I was going. Instead of playing like where we went to school, Austin P goes up and plays Vandy, and that's a cupcake game for Vandy. No, it's Vandy is the cupcake game for any other team, which is somewhat true anyway.
You get to literally take on an SEC team though, and consider that as you're like, God, get ready because we got the big boys coming on. It's scary. I mean, we just saw it happen because there's so much college news that just went down. Because I wanted to talk about the 10-game SEC season that they just agreed upon.
Yeah.
And they added 2 East opponents for West and vice versa. Mm-hmm. And some teams really got the shaft on that because Arkansas, the Razorbacks, now play Georgia, LSU, Bama, Auburn. I mean, that's horrible. They got screwed. We'll pretty much scrap that entire scheduling process, and now you're going to have to see the influx of all these new teams and see how that shakes everything up. I don't know what they're going to do, but they need to get something done soon, right?
I think it's going to be one of those situations.
It's almost mid-August.
Look, kids are prepping for football, right? Yeah. Like at this point, it's going to have to be one of those situations where late September is when the college football season starts, which is weird because usually it starts a week before the NFL. It's going to have to be late September. We're probably not going to figure out the scheduling until mid to early September. I would imagine. I can't imagine.
At best, I would say playing in October, right?
No, I'm saying that these kids that are prepping for the season aren't really even going to know their schedule until a couple weeks before the season starts.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
That's interesting. It's going to be really exciting for us. We're going to have a whole fucking podcast dedicated to it, I'm sure. Yeah. But man, there's so much shit that could happen. And there's some exciting stuff. I brought this up to you off air. what if they didn't even do like a regular season and did a giant a giant what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a playoff or
like a giant
like
playoff,
a March Madness,
like a 64 team or what, however many teams want to be in it, and you could do a double elimination style type of tournament that happens.
What do you do if you like they would? I like it because then you would really get to see like a tier system and the best eventually go up against each other and survive. Pretty much the way that I think it's going to go is it's going to be whoever wants to come into the SEC. Come into the SEC if you're big enough of a program, because I don't think we're just going to be taking everyone and their mom. I don't think we're going to get all the small fries out there and bring them in.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think it's going to be. I mean, you're going to get the smaller ACC schools that want to play.
Well, yeah, but I don't
like a Boston College
I'm talking
or
even smaller than that. Maybe
you're talking the
AAC and Max. Yeah, so I don't think we're going to be dealing with any of those guys.
Which they canceled. They canceled earlier this week, which was going to be a small little note that we were going to talk about, but that's nothing compared to this.
It's on a new landscape now. I think whoever survives that gauntlet of if you add another division in the SEC, which you could call it the newcomer thing, and run it 1 year off of that, and then have the survivors go again. It's going to be weird. I don't know what's going to happen with the playoff. I've also heard that the SEC may shut their doors and say we're going to have 4 teams in the damn playoff. SEC's winning it, baby.
But it's such an asterisk. It doesn't even it doesn't count. It doesn't count. Come on.
Every other conference gets to gloat about it.
Oh, come on. No,
SEC number one best. Number one.
Okay, but I mean, in the 2020-21 season, it really just feels like it's going to be such a letdown unless there is something super cool.
Everything's going to have an asterisk on it. Yes, that's for sure. But we still get to see these guys compete against each other.
Hopefully.
We still get, as long as there is a season, as long as there are games being played, we will still get to see that.
Yeah.
And there's one really, really small storyline that I'm hoping comes to fruition. It would be really cool. Trey Lance, North Dakota State, canceled their season. And he can opt in.
Oh, shit.
He can transfer and opt in.
Oh, shit. Where did he go?
If Trey Lance goes anywhere and gets to play, because for one, that would help the scouts really get to see him compete against the next level of competition.
Yeah.
And two, whatever team he lands on, get ready. That's going to be so much fun to watch.
That would be cool. How would that even work, though?
It's a medical transfer right now, I would say.
Oh, okay, but you would literally come in and be the starting quarterback after a month of preparation?
Listen, I'm not saying it's feasible. I'm just saying that if you have a guy of that, he's QB2, QB3 right now, people are saying.
I mean, isn't Miller saying he's the best quarterback right now?
Saying that there's a chance that he could be better than Trevor.
Yeah.
If I'm Trey Lance, I would probably take all this hype and buzz and just chill. Why go risk playing in this like you said in a few weeks of an offense that you're not ready for against higher competition?
Yeah,
you have a slim window where you can make it happen. The other 90% is you bombing yourself.
You're stacking the odds against you in a situation that everyone in the world knows you had nothing to do with. You're not the reason that you didn't get to play this year. You can just sit, prepare for the NFL season, go do all the combine and Senior Bowl. I'm sure they'll let you in the Senior Bowl.
Too, yeah.
You'll be fresh. You'll be ready to go. And I mean, you're a highly touted quarterback. You're gonna get some buzz. An NFL team's gonna take a chance on you.
But I saw a theory about it that there was a chance that he may go somewhere, and it's just like, man, that's a huge name. That when you look at it from if you're the team that lands.
I didn't hear that. I'm glad you saved that for the pod. Cool. That's a good one.
It's a neat theory. I like it a lot. And it also goes to show all these other guys who don't get their chance. I mean, Pac-12, no one's talking about them right now. Mm-hmm. They've completely closed their doors. Are we going to bring Pac-12 into the SEC? How's the travel going to work? How is the?
No, yeah, I just don't even imagine. I can't even imagine.
But there's so many good players that are over there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna get granted another year. If you're that age. Do you want to take another year? Because at a certain point, when you hit that 23, 24-ish range, some eyes start closing, on the NFL landscape, just depending on how you are.
Yeah.
Just because as you get older, it's not as appealing.
Yeah, you stop being viewed as a first or second round pick, and then you're like third to seventh. Oh, we can get him for one contract. If he's good, he's good. There's so much that happened, and right now it's just all conjecture. Do you really have anything else? I don't have much more to add.
I would say you could flow that right into the college opt-outs affecting all of this.
Kind of where I was going with this. Yeah, I'll let you take it over here. We have a list of some college opt-outs. Now, some of them are on teams. Like I put this together last night.
Yeah.
Some of them are on teams that just opted out anyway. So so I don't really know how that affects some of these guys. But here's a list of some of the opt-outs. I'll let you take it over.
We have Josh Jackson from Maryland. We spoke about him a few days ago, last week actually, and saying that he was one of the more promising guys, low-tier quarterback-wise in the ACC. I like him as a quarterback, Chandler Wooten was an Auburn linebacker, and we really needed that depth this year.
Yeah.
I think he's a father-to-be soon, right? And that
I think
might
so,
be one of the factors that went
that's
into him.
probably what it
Biggest one, in my opinion, and one of my favorite receivers going into this next year's class is Rondale Moore.
Yeah, but it doesn't. But now, I mean, his conference just shut down anyway.
Well, exactly. So
I mean,
either
way,
he kind of just closed the door before it was going to be shut already.
Exactly. He'll be an NFL player for sure.
First round pick. Oh, Micah Parsons
absolutely.
too.
Michael Parsons is a good big one. That's the marquee name is Micah Parsons from Penn State. Again, his team shut the door, so it's
he's a top 10 pick in next year's draft.
He is.
Legit.
He is. Now, let me ask you this. This is just kind of an interesting one. How much are scouts going to value the players that played this season that we got to see versus the guys that we haven't seen for an entire season?
It's going to be
That's
weird.
That's going to be weird, isn't it?
Well, I think there were certain guys who could really benefit from this next year. Like Rondale Moore was one of those that I was really – he had a lot of good, promising stuff on film last year.
This is a wide receiver from Purdue. Yeah.
And this was supposed to be like the year, though.
Yeah,
this was supposed to be the breakout national – I mean, he could go for the Biletnikoff Award. He was going to take it all, and now we don't get to see it. So as a scout, what do you do?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, he was drafted. I mean, just for people, I'm going to tell them about our Devy League. He was drafted with the 4th pick in our Devy League. I mean, and a Devy is like you draft college players to one day be on your fantasy team. So I mean, there's definitely
a lot of promise
hype
behind
around
his
him.
name. Yeah,
he's a big name guy. Now, are scouts just going to take that hype and project it towards a season that never happened, or are they going to just base it on what they saw? Hope that he grew and judge him against like a Jalen Waddle, who I think is going to be a first round pick out of Alabama.
Yeah,
but he's probably going to play the season. He's probably going to put up great numbers and all those other things.
And I think that would bring some people above Rondale Moore
exactly.
As a result.
Yeah,
because look at the way that the class shaped up last year. Not that many people were talking about Jalen Rieger going into the season. No one knew about Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson hardly.
Yeah.
I mean, I know some of the big time fans of your own team. Yes, you know these guys. But on a national level, Justin Jefferson wasn't mentioned in the first round for a long time, and look where he ended up.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of names. I don't think Denzel Mims was a big name coming into last season. He brought his stock way up. You look at a Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State. That was a smaller school. I mean, he was a first round pick. He wouldn't. Everyone was looking at N'Keal Harry. I mean, he had some promise, but nobody was paying attention to him in 2018. So I mean, there's going to be guys that fall through the cracks here. I mean, there is. There's
going to be so much fallback. So many people that want the chance that don't get the chance. Some of them clearly don't want the chance. They just want to play it safe for whatever reason. That's fine.
Oh, Rashad Bateman. That's another one. That's another
wide
receiver from Minnesota.
Would be first round maybe pick.
Second, type of guy. Absolutely. I'm trying to just go through here. Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech. We talked about him last week. I think.
Arguably the number one cornerback.
Yeah, Ravon. Which I mean, I don't blame you when you're already regarded as one of the top 10, top 15 picks in the next year's draft. You have this beautiful opportunity to opt out, and I don't want to call it a beautiful opportunity, but in the grand scheme of things, if you're already slated as a top 10 to top 15 pick in the NFL draft, meaning you're about to be a millionaire this time next year, why all you can do is hurt your stock at the end of the game.
Save your body. Don't let the Jalen Smith story happen. The Dylan Moses.
You're in a situation where you have the opportunity to opt out, and I know this sounds kind of hateful in a way where, like, of course these kids want to play. I understand everybody wants to play, but you're in one of these situations where all you can do is hurt yourself. All you can do is hurt your stock. Yeah. So nobody's gonna look at you because people blame players all the time for opting out of their bowl games. No one's gonna give you shit. No one's gonna care if you opt out.
You're saying right now
you
have the excuse.
Oh, of course, yeah. You have a very obvious.
You can't say anything wrong.
Yeah,
unless you're Deion Sanders. That's the one who says something wrong.
We got to talk about that.
Yeah, it flows well into the tweet. Deion saying that you're not bigger than the game, and he's talking across all sports.
Yeah,
and it caught me off guard. I don't know. Yeah. I didn't know what to think.
I'm gonna put it on YouTube. So if you're listening on the pod, I don't have the exact quote up here, but if you're listening,
talk for a minute, and I'll pull it up. And
I mean, look, Deion Sanders, obviously a Florida Stater. I love the guy. I don't want to hate on him. I didn't understand this quote. I don't understand where this was coming from. He basically just hated on everybody who opted out, basically saying, you're not bigger than the game. The game will go on without you. And I do get that. I get the sentiment because he's not really wrong in the sense that, of course, no one player opting out was going to end the season. I mean, no matter who it was. But I mean, these guys have every right to do what's best for them and their family, and to judge everybody on that kind of decision, that just makes no sense to me. But again, I'm of the side that, you know, college kids that opt out of their bowl game to protect themselves for the NFL draft, I don't have a problem with that. You know, I don't have a problem with you know, I definitely don't have a problem with people trying to protect themselves and their family from a disease. I mean, shit. I don't understand. I didn't understand the sentiment in the sense that I didn't understand why anybody would be so hateful. I see you have it up,
have
so
the tweet, yeah.
I can stop filibustering now.
No, you're good. It says, all players opting out in all sports, please believe the game will go on without you. This is a business, and don't you ever forget that. There's no one that's bigger than the game itself. Only the ref, umps, and officials are that important that you can't play without them. Not you. #truth. And first thing, I can't think of one player that has purposely opted out in saying that, dang, I know this sport's going to stop because my name's not in it right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those things that comes down to the person, whatever you got going on in your life, whether it be your family, whether it be you're worried about your own personal health. If you choose to opt out, then that's just what you do.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things you have to respect. I didn't think that he would say something as...
I didn't think anybody would come on this side of it. Yeah, it's well,
very strange. You can have that opinion as you should suit up and play no matter what, but man, the way that he worded it was so harsh.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. It goes back to, you know, like, people give players, like college kids, shit for not playing their bowl game. People give, you know, juniors that go to the NFL draft as opposed to staying for another season shit for not staying for another season. Man, you don't know their lives. Look, even if they're a kid that's going to get drafted in the mid-rounds and maybe would have had a chance to up their stock, look, maybe they needed that $3 million to save their fucking family. Maybe their grandma's in the hospital. You don't know their fucking lives. Why are we going to sit here and judge other people? I mean, look, we sit here and judge other people for the way they play on the field, but decisions that they make off the field, no, that's not something I'm ever going to judge somebody for. I don't understand that thought process.
It was different. I didn't see him going in that direction, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. All right.
You want to speak about because you just said talk about decisions that you were made off the field.
Yeah.
Derrius Guice.
God, we are flowing today with the storylines, aren't we? God.
Well, I mean, you're going to judge him for that, though, right?
I am. Derrius Guice was cut by the Washingtons for strangling his girlfriend.
He turned himself in.
Accused for strangulation. Obviously, you know, I didn't do a whole lot of research on this story because he was essentially cut immediately, which gives us the indication that he did it. He more than likely,
and Washington
is
can't
guilty.
Afford the grace period of whether it is or isn't right now with all the news that has gone down with them.
Shit,
you got to play the high road on this one.
Yeah, this is a weird one. Derrius Guice, who's been injured the past 2 seasons. If you watched our mock draft last week, we drafted Derrius Guice in the mid rounds and said, you know, this is a guy who has some injury issues, but if he plays, he's really good at football. And yeah, that's true, but he ain't playing anymore. He was not claimed off waivers by any team. I don't think any team wants.
I think they're gonna have to wait to see how this one plays out.
I don't think anybody wants a piece of him, man. I'll be honest.
He's a bust.
Yeah, I think he's.
It's unfortunate. It's sad. It's a waste of talent. And if this is true, I hope he can right his wrongs and then maybe get another. I don't know, man.
Look, if this is true, fuck him. He doesn't deserve to play the NFL. Yeah. I hope he can, like you said, right his wrongs in the next career of his life or next portion of his life. But at this point, you make mistakes like that. You don't deserve to play in the NFL. You don't deserve.
I don't have to wait for his knee to blow out to be upset about the fantasy year. That's a good news. I've gotten him both years that he's been around, and you let me down again.
Yeah,
I don't have to draft you this time to figure it out.
I'm just glad I didn't draft him in any real leagues because there's 3 leagues that I could have drafted him in. I didn't get him in any of them. Very happy about that. I actually got Bryce Love instead, and I'm excited about Bryce Love.
Stock goes up.
Let's talk about the because this is actually I'm going to steal from the next segment that we're going to do, which is a word from the camp around the NFL. So let's talk about the Washington running backs. These are just quotes from different beat reporters, the running back coach and stuff like that. Peyton Barber can be a lead back. That is what the running back coach for Washington said. No. I will say that no. Look, I know he's your guy. I know he's an Auburn running back. He's fine. But he's just a guy in the NFL.
Well, I wouldn't say guy. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that he had some good times at Auburn. He did good. Yeah. He is a serviceable back.
He's a serviceable back. Yes. He can be a lead back in the sense that you could give him the ball 300 times, but the Bucs did that last year and it didn't work out that great. They gave him the ball 200 and something carries. It was ridiculous.
He's good. Split time with AP. Keep AP's fresh legs out there. I mean, you have a really, really good Bryce Love, I would hope, that could step up and maybe take some carries. He's not a lead back.
No, he's not.
Yeah,
and look, and that's the funny thing. I want to talk about Bryce Love in a second, but I want to get through these quotes first. The next one was AP was helped by a shortened offseason. That was just a little story that came out of Washington, which makes sense. The offseason wasn't quite as grueling for a guy, obviously of his age, gets to skip all of those, meaningless shit for his caliber. So that was interesting.
He said he's going to break the all-time record.
He wants to break the record, which I totally believe that he has the opportunity to do that.
He's 3,000 and change away.
Oh,
though.
is he that far? I didn't realize he was that far.
3,000, and he's got some time. Now,
he has
the ability if he gets the work.
He has the physical ability.
He has the physical ability. Dude's a dog.
Guy strangling his girlfriend helps.
It does. It does. That's the
horrible.
Only positive thing to come out of this. Can we say that?
No, I don't want to say that.
That's fine. We're good.
We'll move right along. The last quote I have from Washington running back room: Antonio Gibson needs time to learn. Antonio Gibson is the running back, wide receiver hybrid guy that was drafted by the Washingtons out of Memphis. Well, I don't know why I lost it.
And he
Memphis.
didn't get the time. That's one of the things that we're going to see on some of these later round guys that didn't get the time to learn because of the camps being shortened, because of some of the rookies being on standby, because they're some of the last ones to get going anyways.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting with Antonio Gibson. I actually, when he was drafted, I saw reports that he was going to be wide receiver. I think they're going to use him as like a hybrid. I think he's going to be used very similarly as Curtis Samuel was used his first season. And Curtis Samuel was kind of used on a lot of, gimmicky type plays, and that worked out fine for the Panthers for the first year. I think Antonio Gibson's going to be used in that same type of light. He's a similar type of player in that way, in my opinion. So the whole thing there is maybe Antonio Gibson isn't the guy to target in fantasy. But the one quote, I couldn't find anything for Bryce Love, who we're actually both kind of fans of. This is a guy who hurt himself in college, at the end of college, tears his ACL, gets drafted in the 4th round anyway by Washington. And now this is his second season, and he gets drafted in the 4th round in the 2019 draft. This could be his chance.
Well, yeah, there's definitely room for carries. I mean, like you said, with the Guice thing happening and no real name emerging as your front runner. I mean, AP, I would say it's AP's until he loses it, but you want to keep a fresh AP to have a good AP.
Yeah, they're not going to give him the majority of the carries. This is going to be a running back by committee type of situation.
And there's room for Bryce Love, and I think he's one of those guys super, super late in your fantasy that if you're scrapped on running back and you want a guy with upside, go for him.
I think Bryce Love is the most talented guy of the backs right now, obviously. And Adrian Peterson is Adrian Peterson.
People forget Bryce Love go look up some of his highlights.
Yeah, he was awesome.
I'm telling you, he was up for the Heisman.
Yeah, so I don't understand. Look, my first thought when this happened, as far as obviously, thoughts go out to the woman that was affected by this, all that. But my first thought, fantasy-wise, how this affects the NFL world, was that Bryce Love is about to get his chance. I really believe that. I think Bryce Love was the pick. We're in a dynasty Devi draft type of thing, where I had actually drafted Bryce Love in like the 15th or 16th round, like super, super late, just because I believe him as a talent. And it happened a round later that we found out about that. It was actually pretty funny. I already had him on the team.
Weird timing.
Yeah, weird. So where do you think comes out of this, as far as who would you target fantasy wise?
In a strictly redraft league, I would stay away from the Washington's running back room. I would. I just don't think there's anyone right now that could step up to the plate. If there is someone, Bryce Love late, you could have.
He's my guy.
You can waiver wire AP, I imagine, this season.
Yeah.
I mean, you should be good off of that. Like I said, Bryce Love late. Other than that, there's other teams and better options you can go find.
Yeah, no, I absolutely.
I don't have any Washington guys on my team.
Yeah, other than Terry McLaurin, I'm in a couple superflex leagues where I took an Alex Smith late, just because I want to see if he'll come back and maybe be a valuable superflex type of guy. But that you pretty much get every quarterback you can in a superflex. I agree with you. I think the running back room, there's a lot of stories coming out of Washington. Obviously, I have 3 different quotes from that team alone on the running backs. We'll see what happens. I don't know. But talking about legal issues. Let's get into DeAndre Baker and Quentin Dunbar. DeAndre Baker will spend the season on the exempt list because he was charged with armed robbery and a couple other offenses. You know how they lay down a bunch of different charges, but armed robbery, obviously the big one. This has to do with the incident that happened in the offseason with Quentin Dunbar and DeAndre Baker. But Quentin Dunbar was not charged with anything. He was not charged with a crime, so therefore he was removed from the exempt list. He will play football this season for the Seahawks, and the Giants are reportedly on the outs with DeAndre Baker. They're not sure if they're even going to keep him on their team.
It's one of those things. It's a waste of talent. I mean, if he did what it is said, I mean, it's just you just got to be smarter.
Yeah,
That's it.
it's
You
just
just got to be smarter than that.
You put yourself in a bad situation. You're
First round pick wasted.
Yeah, and they traded back into the first round to get this guy who's the first cornerback off the board, and now the first probably cornerback of that draft that might be out of the NFL already, man. That's so sad. He didn't have a great rookie season, but he wasn't on a great team, so that's a tough thing to ask for anybody. There's not a whole lot else to say, but just to update people because we talked a lot about that over the offseason. Patriots signed Lamar Miller.
I like it.
Yeah.
You don't like it.
No.
Everyone else, listen, I know there's never a Patriots running back that you could ever target and get behind, but a lot of people were on Lamar Miller's nuts when he was at the Texans a few years ago or whatever that was. I'm losing track of time.
A lot of people were on Lamar Miller's nuts.
That one.
I was not. I was never on Lamar Miller. What do you mean?
Oh, my God. Okay.
When was I ever on Lamar Miller?
If we're going to sit here and put up some bullshit facade.
When he was on the Dolphins, yeah, I liked Lamar Miller when he played for the Dolphins.
So everyone, not John, there was a lot of people that liked Lamar Miller at the Texans. That didn't work out.
So, I mean, it worked out fine. He was a workload back that just never was never an RB1.
That's why I said that because I knew you'd defend him. That's how I got you. You did like Lamar Miller.
No,
Thank you.
I'm saying
Lamar Miller.
I'm trying to say what he was. I mean,
there is a chance that he could do something late. I'm talking late. I'm talking we finished a 25-round league and I was looking to go at him just. You know, as a flash in the pan. You never know. Sony Michel's always banged up, it seems.
Yeah.
They had
not expected to start week one.
Yeah, and they had an opt-out. I can't, his name's blanking off the top of my head.
He was like their backup
Rex
running back.
Burkhead, meh.
Yeah, and then James White, and then now Lamar Miller gets added. No, I absolutely agree. They have the Alabama running back that they drafted last year who might do something. I get what you're saying. I was saying Lamar Miller was never a sexy pick in fantasy, and I was never on his nuts either. Can we agree on that? Is that a fair way to
I'll let you out.
All right.
That's fine.
All right, thanks.
That's fine.
Thanks. He's really good.
He's really good.
Really good.
Yeah, that's what he is.
For those of you listening last week, I've got a call back there. All right. Lamar Miller, I don't know. I don't think that's going to be anything. Running back getting signed this late, I don't know.
Yeah.
They signed him over Freeman. Maybe that's a money thing. I don't know what Freeman's looking for.
Devontae Freeman wants around $5 million.
Oh, yeah, that's ridiculous. He's never getting that money. All right. Vic Beasley returns to camp for the Titans. He racked up $500,000 in fines. This is Vic Beasley, who signed a 1-year prove-it deal after kind of being a little bit of a bust for the Falcons. But he signed a deal that can be worth up to $12 million and is $9.5 million guaranteed. Just lost $500,000 by missing about a week of camp.
Yeah, for a while they couldn't find him. They didn't know what.
It was a no-call, no-show.
Yeah,
it was weird.
No-show. Didn't know what was going to happen with it. Glad he's back for Titans fans because you're really going to need that up front.
Yeah.
And I'm still holding out faith that they can pull a Jadeveon move.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. Where's Jade? I mean, we talk about this every week. Jadeveon and Everson Griffin.
Gotta wait to see what Everson and Clay. I've heard that Seattle is looking heavy at adding Clay Matthews and Everson because you could do that 2-for-1 instead of a Jadeveon. So, I mean, if they want to take that route, then Jadeveon's still up in the air. Maybe I've heard the Jets a lot recently.
Jets have come out and said they have no interest in him, though.
Good.
Yeah.
Come to the Titans.
We'll see what happens, man. It's crazy. It's crazy that he's not been able to find any kind of. He's gonna have to take a pay cut for what he wants, right? He's gonna have to take
a 1-year prove it.
Yeah, I think he will.
And he's also, being hurt by the fact that you can't get your own doctors in these COVID times to come look at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to move on to a new segment that we're doing. And if you guys like it, we'll do it every week. If not, we'll never do this again. And I'm so sorry. All right. So it is Word from Camps Around the NFL, right? That's a shitty name. Maybe we'll come up with a better name. Basically, we're just looking up different camps, different fan websites, and looking what beat writers are saying about their team specifically. Because I think, every fan knows so much more about their team than, just somebody who looks
every
their way,
fan
right?
always has the little cute sneaky info that you can plug in there
exactly.
and take. Yeah.
So what I want to do is bring that to you and bring that to us and be more informed about the NFL and maybe not be so surprised about, certain things. Like I want to know, a couple of years ago, Philip Lindsay came out of nowhere for anybody who wasn't a Broncos fan, right? Well, I want to know about the Philip Lindsays. I want to know about the, I want to be prepared for stuff like that. So here's a couple things. It is going to be, geared towards fantasy football unless there's something big that's happening in the defensive world or stuff like that, just so it has some actual intrinsic value for people watching that are, into that kind of stuff. First thing we have is from my Miami Dolphins. Jordan Howard is expected to be the lead back, according to Cameron Wolfe. And the Dolphins have Jordan Howard and they have Matt Breida. According to Cameron Wolfe, Jordan Howard is expected to get about 50% of the workload, while Matt Breida will get about 35% and then sprinkle in some other guys after that.
It sounds kind of interesting. I think Jordan Howard was really promising for a few years.
He was the leading rusher his rookie season, I believe, right?
Yeah, and he was fantasy-wise going in the upwards of the low first, early second at some point. So ADP's in the 7th round.
Damn, I was just about to ask you. I was going to hide it from you.
If there's going to be something super late to where you can get 50% of the workload, it's a really bad team though.
You can get the running back one on a team in the 7th round. Listen, that's not always the greatest thing in the world, but I always say this, like, you want to have a good combination of floor and ceiling, right? Jordan Howard is a floor pick. If you're in the 7th round and you don't love your running backs, maybe you went quarterback a little too early, maybe you grabbed a wide receiver with your first round pick, whatever you did, why not take a Jordan Love or Jordan Howard, put him on your bench, and have him be a spot starter?
Who's going to get touches, and that's what will get you floor points.
Exactly. Yeah. He'll be a spot starter. He can probably put up, maybe 10 points here and there in a game, and that's not too bad, right?
Yeah.
All right. Next one from Ellis Williams is predicting that both Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt will both exceed 1,000 yards. Each player is expected to get about 15 carries apiece.
Nope.
That is high. This is more of a prediction than an actual report from camp, but this is him saying that Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are going to have a shared workload, which is what I've been saying all offseason. Tell me why I'm wrong.
No, you're right. They will have a shared workload, but saying that it's going to
50-50 workload.
50-50, but saying that it's going to equal 2,000 yards is a load.
It's a lot. They're going to run the ball. I'm telling you, the Broncos
Kevin
were going to
Stefanski loves to do a power run type setup of play actions and stuff like that, but 1,000 apiece? When was the last time we saw two running backs get it? Exactly.
It's a prediction that it'll happen for the first time. Look, it's going to happen eventually. It'll happen one time in our lifetime. I guarantee you that.
It ain't happening this time.
It could.
It ain't happening.
Would you like to do a shot bet, a 5-1 shot bet?
5-1. Yeah, I'll do it.
Right,
yeah,
you taking 5, I'll take 1.
Deal.
All right, bet.
That's a deal.
We're gonna have to
we have
a
bet that John is saying that there will be 2,000 yards, 1,000 and 1,000.
I'll take a 5-1 shot bet, yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
I think they're two great running backs.
What did Chubb hit last year? 1,200?
13.
1,298. It was 13 rounded up. So
I'm pretty sure it was more than that. You talk.
No, I just don't see how you're going to be able to feed all those mouths. You have an improved offensive line. I could see where it could happen on paper, but that's really, really ambitious considering you still have Odell, you have Jarvis, you have Austin Hooper, you still have David Njoku. You got a lot of mouths that you're going to feed, and that's assuming that you can be really, really up in these ball games to be able to run the ball this much. 15 carries apiece.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, no, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm trying to pull it up. I don't know. Keep talking. I don't have it yet.
That's all I got.
That's all you got?
Yeah.
Listen, Nick Chubb is a very good player. Kareem Hunt is a very good player. I'm filibustering here. Stats. I'm looking it up right now. Sorry for the grade. Yeah. Okay. No, 1,494.
Solid.
Nick Chubb had 1,494 yards, 298 attempts. If they split it and they run more because they were past
that's 750.
Okay, but this is a new team. This is a run first team as opposed to what they were last year. Which you can argue against it, but they were a pass first. They wanted to pass the ball first for the Browns last year. So I would argue it's possible. Of course it's ambitious. I'm taking a 5-1 shot, but not because I would think that's going to happen. Because I'll take one shot to maybe force you to take 5.
Yeah,
that's a deal.
I'll run it. Yeah. I'm here for the bet. But like you said, it's never happened before.
Never happened before.
It is a very talented backfield.
Look, the real I absolutely agree. The real thing that people should be taking away from this is that Nick Chubb is going in the first round of drafts and Kareem Hunt is going in the 4th and 5th round.
Yeah.
there's significant value in one of those guys, and there's somebody being overdrafted. I don't care about the talent. I don't care, about all the other things that are going to happen. The way that the Browns are going to use these two players, Nick Chubb is being way overdrafted, and Kareem Hunt is being underdrafted. Fair enough?
There's value, yeah. I mean, Kareem's going to have a good workload. I just don't think it's going to amount to anything like that. And I'm high on the Browns this year too.
Yeah, no, look, that's an ambitious prediction from a beat writer for the Browns. That's fine. I'm not sitting here saying that's going to happen. I thought it was more. I put that in there more because I thought it was super interesting.
It's showing that it's a 50-50.
Yeah, look, I'm not the only one that's sitting here and saying this is going to be a 50-50 workload. Nick Chubb is not going to be the second leading rusher like he was last year. He is not going to get these gaudy stats like he did last year. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. I'm convinced of that. I really am. All right, moving on. Jerick McKinnon is the early standout in camp, getting first-team reps in passing downs according to Mercury News. This is not an opinion. This is a fact. He's getting first-team reps in passing down situations. Jerick McKinnon, the guy they signed from the Vikings 3 years ago, who's been injured pretty much every 2 years.
They paid him a good amount of money too, and then the hype around his name was going in the second and third round.
Yeah, look, and he has $2 million in dead cap hit, so they're probably going to keep him on board. There's no really reason to cut him right now.
I heard that there was a chance he could get cut.
There's a chance, but at $2 million in dead cap money, they might not. I'm just saying. So Jerick McKinnon, essentially free in drafts right now, might be a super sneaky value pick on one of the best running teams in the NFL.
Yeah, he's going to get guaranteed handoffs. He's going to get touches if he's on the team. But it's just weird because I looked it up like a few days ago and saw something that's saying that he very well could be cut just because of the dead cap space and the money that it could free up. But doesn't sound like it. If you're getting first-team touches, you're getting the reps.
They're testing him out at the very least. Look, a lot of this stuff, it can be overhyped. That's what happens this time of year. There is overhype. There's a lot of these beat writers are fans first, so you see we do have to keep that in mind a little bit. But it's still interesting. You get a lot of good nuggets from this, and that's what we're trying to do with this segment here. Last one of the week, Brian Edwards. I don't know why I said Bryce. Brian Edwards. This is a guy who was actually, I believe, a top 10 wide receiver for me coming into the draft. I was actually a big fan of him. I didn't hear he wasn't talked about a lot, but Brian Edwards could start week 1 for the LA Rams, or the not Rams, the Raiders. I don't know why I said Rams. Sorry, the Las Vegas Raiders. According to Marcus Mosher, Edwards is going to probably be that third string wide receiver next to Ruggs. Man, I mean this is. This is interesting.
You have Ruggs, Edwards, and Tyro Williams, and Hunter Renfrow.
We'll
see where they all go.
And the report is Brian Edwards has already surpassed Hunter Renfrow, who didn't do a whole lot.
That doesn't surprise me. Renfrow's more of like a gadget guy that you could bring in and have a possession style.
And he's a 40-year-old man in a 24-year-old's body.
Dude, he was at Clemson for a long time. He was.
So I just thought that was interesting. Another guy who, look, we're always trying to find value late in drafts. This is another name, Brian Edwards, who might have some value as a rookie, who looks to have some legitimate playing time right off the bat, and that's always what you want to look for. If you can find talent, if talent plus opportunity equals great fantasy numbers, and I do believe he has the talent, looking like he's going to have the opportunity. So just a name to know. All right, I'm going to let you take over with the fantasy football profile.
Yeah, that is cool. Let me go ahead and pull it up. You caught me off guard.
Sorry, buddy.
All right, so we will look at my Minnesota Vikings.
Yes.
And I'm trying to think of how to go into it. I'll just go ahead and start by saying Stephon Diggs last year, his numbers, he had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons in 2018 and 2019. 15 total touchdowns over the 2 years. That's damn good.
Yeah.
That's really damn good when you consider he's a 5th-round pick out of Maryland.
Yeah.
His skill set now has evolved to where he's one of the top talents in the league, arguable top 10 wide receiver. I would put him in there towards the bottom in mine. He's gone. We got a guy who I think has a higher ceiling than him. Coming out of college, if you were to compare both of them, Justin Jefferson is a better player on paper. He is fitting right into the number 2 role, and I see the sky's the limit for him. I see him ADP-wise, 13th round.
Yeah.
And he's fitting right into the guaranteed number 2 slot. I know we like to run the ball a lot. I know some of the touches aren't there, but he's going to get targets.
Yeah.
I mean, Adam Thielen's your number 1. You have him as you have Justin Jefferson as your 2. And then once you get to the 3, man, we have KJ Osborne, Chad Beebe. I mean, it's kind of up in the air right there. And we run a lot of 2 wide receiver sets with the 2 stacked tight ends and Dalvin Cook being in the back. He's out on the field in the 13th round. Go get him. I honestly think he's capable of a 1,000-yard season.
Yeah, no.
I mean, how could he not be? If Diggs was able to do this,
I couldn't agree more with you. I think this is a perfect situation. Like I said, I just talked about talent and opportunity. Justin Jefferson is one of the best receivers to come out of this class in a loaded class, and he is falling into a situation where he's going to be the wide receiver 2 on the team right off the bat, and arguably could even be talked about as a wide receiver 1 if you consider Thielen the slot receiver type of guy. I mean, I don't, but that's definitely a conversation.
I think for some people it's not as sexy of an offense whenever it comes to like just slinging the ball around left and right. But this guy is gonna get numbers. He is a red zone threat.
6 to 7 targets a game, I would say, guaranteed. 6 to 7 targets a game. That's 4 to 5 catches for 75 to 80 yards a game. That easily turns into 1,000 yards. I think that's very, very reasonable. That's very within his ability. And look, that doesn't sound super sexy, but add a touchdown in there, that's 15, 16 points a game. That's not a touchdown. That's still 10 to 11 points. Yeah. As far as fantasy, that is fantasy value on a weekly basis. That's what you want. Justin Jefferson, and he has the
on a
ceiling.
Short learning year too.
Yeah. He has the ceiling of a wide receiver 1 in fantasy. I really believe that. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I actually love that pick.
Oh, when we got the pick on draft night, I was ecstatic. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, we were sitting next to each other, and you lost your fucking mind.
Praying that he fell.
Yeah, and he did. The second Jalen Reagor gets drafted by the Eagles, you lost your shit because it was Justin Jefferson was on the board. He was the guy. Y'all were thinking about trading up for him anyway. Yeah. I look, this is a perfect fit. I couldn't agree more. Is there anything else really to say about him?
That's my fantasy profile.
Yeah,
go get him.
Love it. Go get him. And what I love is that I 100% agreed with you, and this is why I wanted to do this, because I didn't want to agree with you after you're about to disagree with me.
Is that right?
Curtis Samuel. We're going to talk about some Curtis Samuel here. Listen, what if I told you you could have somebody essentially free in fantasy football drafts that had a breakout season last year stolen from him?
Oh my God.
A breakout season stolen from him by a backup quarterback by the name of Kyle Allen. Yes, I'm talking about Curtis Samuel, a guy who had 107 targets last year, caught 54 of them, right? That doesn't sound good. Caught only 54 of 107 targets.
Doesn't sound good.
Yeah, what if I told you that 59.2% of his targets were considered uncatchable? All right? What if I told you he had the most uncatchable balls thrown his way of anybody in 2019? What if I told you he had the worst passer rating from a quarterback of any wide receiver in the NFL? What if I told you that?
He's good talent.
Yeah.
But last year wasn't promising.
Last year was incredibly promising. Last year showed us that this dude has the talent to be a legitimate receiver in this league. It was stolen from him by a quarterback that has no business being a starting quarterback in the NFL. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel about this. Listen, Samuel did earn a true catch rate. So this is a percentage that factors out the quarterback error of 80.6%, which is well above the NFL average. This is a player who I believe has the upside of a wide receiver 2 in fantasy, a wide receiver 3/2. This is a guy who had a utilization rate of 12.9%, which is pretty good. He has the opportunity. He is going into the season as the wide receiver 2 in fantasy. We've already argued about this off air. I know we're going to argue about it again.
Yeah.
This is a guy who I have projected for 74 receptions. I projected for a 1,000-yard season and 7 touchdowns. Yes, I believe that Curtis Samuel is going to be a vital part of this offense. I think the Cardinals are going to be a team. I think Carolina is going to be a team that is going to be a really, really good offense with a really, really bad defense. And what does that mean?
It means
good fantasy numbers. It means great fantasy numbers. Listen, I understand that they have the Christian McCaffrey who's going to be a baller. I understand that they have DJ Moore, who I am even higher on than I am Curtis Samuel. But Curtis Samuel is the forgotten fruit of this Carolina offense. He is going to be very, very good. I believe he's going to have a quarterback that can utilize him far better than Kyle Allen ever could. He's going to have a breakout season this year that was stolen from him in 2019. Tell me why I'm wrong.
I mean, listen, I'll bring up one stone cold fact is that I drafted Curtis Samuel in the 13th round of a fantasy league. You passed on him for 12 rounds and you're this high on him? Go open the door, you lose.
I found more value in other places.
Go open the door, you lose right there. Curtis Samuel is talented. I'm not going to be on this side of I don't like Curtis Samuel.
You hate him.
But if they paid Robbie Anderson from the Jets, who was the New York Jets #1,
you act like you paid him so much money. They paid him shit wide receiver money.
Starting wide receiver money.
Okay, yeah, wide receiver 3. He'll be the wide receiver 3 on the team.
He's not. He's out there to be the wide receiver 2. It's DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and Curtis Samuel is your cool, sexy gadget guy. He's your cool, sexy gadget guy. He's your guy you can come in and run.
He is a legit slot receiver.
Options. Slot receivers line up at the 3 a lot. Whenever you have 3 wide receiver sets.
But so does Jarvis Landry line up in the slot. You're saying he's not the wide receiver 2 on his team? Come on.
No, I get that, but
Stephon Diggs lined up in the slot a lot last year. You're going to say he's not a wide receiver 1 last year? Come on.
There's arguments where you can find it, but at the end of the day, your main thing is saying that last year's unsuccessful season was a fluke.
Unsuccessful?
Yes.
He was a good player. It's not his fault if the ball doesn't if he's open and the ball is incredibly off target, how is that on him?
At a certain point, who's to say that it's going to get better?
Look,
you have to acknowledge the situation that you're in.
We play flag football a lot. We play flag football once every year, right?
That's not a lot, but yeah.
Well, I broke my leg last time. It's a lot. I've sometimes played quarterback. Okay. I'm not that good of a thrower. If I throw a ball to you 5 yards away from where you're supposed to be, if it's completely out of your range, did you drop the ball?
Never said that.
What if you were wide open?
I get that completely.
So you beat your man completely, and I throw a fucking duck, and it's your fault?
Suck. Means that you suck.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
so why am I going to blame you?
I have to acknowledge the situation moving forward that my quarterback isn't capable of getting me the ball. How can you get these numbers if you can't get the ball?
That was last season. He's got a new quarterback.
Teddy's one of the best dink and dunk guys out there.
Exactly.
There's good numbers there for Robbie Anderson.
No,
there are good
Robbie
numbers.
Anderson is the speed receiver down the field. What are you talking about?
There are good numbers available for Curtis Samuel here.
Exactly.
But I'm just arguing with your argument of saying that last year's fluke is completely not as...
How is it a fluke?
You were high on Dante Pettis and Curtis Samuel.
I admit that I was wrong about Dante Pettis.
And both of them shit the bed.
Curtis Samuel is right. Curtis Samuel was good. I was wrong about Dante Pettis. I'll own it. I'm gonna be wrong sometimes. I don't know how. What does Dante Pettis have to do? Curtis Samuel was good. He was open. He was a good wide receiver on his team. His quarterback couldn't get him the ball on a regular basis. 59% of the balls thrown his way were inaccurate, uncatchable balls.
So you have to acknowledge that going forward.
What?
That's what I'm saying.
No.
You're arguing on the fact that this is a wide receiver. You're saying 2 at best, 3, because DJ Moore's got the 1 locked.
Of course.
They have Christian McCaffrey. You have a lot of mouths to feed on this offense. We don't really know how it's going to work and incorporate all these pieces. And you passed on him in the fucking 13th round.
Listen, I get it. I drafted other guys. The reason I passed him on the 13th round is because I drafted
That's my proof that he's not high on him.
Oh, come on. Look, we can go down my team. I drafted 5 wide receivers that I believed in a little bit more than Curtis Samuel. I'm allowed to do that. And I drafted them. I needed help at other positions. That's a draft situation. If I had drafted other players at other positions earlier in the draft, I obviously would have
I understand that.
jumped on Curtis Samuel.
But that is one of my points in going into the fact that he shouldn't have been around there if you think he is capable of these numbers. I mean, anyone who's 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns, that's big boy numbers.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs did that last year.
It's a prediction. I understand that it's not the norm. I'm higher on him than most people. What I'm saying is Curtis Samuel was robbed last season. This season, a new season with a new quarterback, I think is going to be better for him. I think he has.
I think it'll be better than last year.
He put up 54 receptions for 627 yards last year. I think the defense is going to be absolute shit. I think they're still going to have to pass the ball more, if if not more, next season. I think he's going to get the same amount of targets, and I think he's going to catch about 20 more balls than he did last year. That's 20 more balls for another 300, 400 yards. Maybe I'm a little. Maybe my yards are a little high.
I was about to say, catch yourself.
All right, look, maybe my yards are a little high, but still.
Yeah, I was like, man, 20 balls, 400 yards. God damn, he's catching that ball. He's gonna be good. He's gonna be utilized. He's good. But it's just the way that you're justifying. Like last year, I'm sorry, it just wasn't a good year. So last year being a bad year, that means a little bit better is decent.
Bad year statistically, not bad year fit like as a talent. Okay, I just think there's a unique difference. It was a bad year statistically. Statistically isn't all on him.
No, it's not.
Exactly.
Sometimes these are the cards that you're dealt, though, and as a fantasy guy, you have to acknowledge that. I mean, it's just certain.
Okay, but I'm saying he has different cards this year.
He does. But they're not going to be that good.
Okay, we'll see.
They're not going to be that good.
Listen. I think you're right. Looking at the yards are a little high.
If you think he's doing that, what's DJ Moore doing?
More.
God, dude, what do you think the Panthers are going to do?
I think they're going to have a lot of offense and no defense. I think, look.
How much do you think Teddy's going to throw for?
Game script is brought into this a good amount. I don't know how much Teddy throws for. I have it. I don't have it up here, but I do have his
I think
numbers.
he's going to have one of the highest completion percentages of 8 yards or less.
I think Teddy, what do you think is ridiculous for Teddy to throw for?
Over 45.
40. Okay, yeah. So I have him at probably 4,200 yards. I think that's fair.
I mean, I'm saying that's way too. I don't think he's hitting 35.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's Christian McCaffrey, man. You got to, and if he does, it's solely because of Christian McCaffrey.
Yes. Christian McCaffrey's going to be a huge piece of that offense.
We knew it was a match made in heaven whenever the guy who has the highest completion percentage of 10 yards or less, Teddy Bridgewater, links up with one of the best receiving backs we've ever seen.
Listen, he didn't throw the ball deep a lot last year, but he did have a pretty good completion percentage on deep balls last season. I don't have it off the top of my head, but he did.
I don't know it off the top of my head, but I do know that damn short one because I know that's what he did for the Vikings whenever he was with us.
All right. This is why I wanted you to go first, because I didn't
Curtis Samuel.
I didn't want to sit here and agree with you after you just shit on me.
I didn't just shit on you.
You totally just shit on me. You told me everything I said was wrong.
I have the guy that you say is God sent on my own team.
I'm not saying he's God sent.
I hope that he does this.
I think that they're going to have. Look, they have a lot of offensive firepower. I think my biggest argument is Curtis Samuel is the wide receiver 2 on this team, and they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. That puts you at good numbers, right?
No.
Wide receiver 2s can put up 1,000 yards.
I just don't know what you think. You don't go out and get Robbie Anderson. I mean, he's a decent wide receiver talent.
Yeah, he's decent.
He's decent.
He's a wide receiver 3 on his team.
You're going to have to find ways to get him the ball, and I truly believe that he's going to line up at the 2 a lot and run your deep routes. And DJ Moore's going to run your cute underneath routes.
So I guess my argument is Curtis Samuel will end the season with more. Well, he will end the season as the wide receiver 2 in terms of stats. Is that fair? Do you want to bet on that?
No, because I think that Curtis Samuel is a more promising talent than Robbie Anderson.
Okay.
But I'm saying you don't bring him in to do that. Robbie Anderson was the one at the Jets.
Yeah, but he wasn't a successful one.
He's promising.
Yeah, he's promising, but he never panned out to anything. Look, they signed Robbie Anderson.
I would argue that he didn't have good cards dealt to him with this offense and quarterback not working out last year. I would argue that there's potential there for him to do a lot better.
I hate you so much.
Yeah, motherfucker, Sam Darnold was sick last year. That's why.
He had mono. All right. Let's finish this off,
me,
guys.
Smalls.
You're killing me, Smalls. God. All right. I love you, bro. You fucking kill me. You're wrong about Curtis Samuel. It sucks, dude. I can't wait to play this next year when you're.
I had to go first on the fantasy profile. I want you to. We're gonna do our top 5 wide receiver duos in the league.
Yeah.
Fire away.
I want to hit on my a couple of my honorable mentions. The first one being DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel.
God almighty. Oh my God.
They almost made my list as a wide receiver duo, as one of the top 5 wide receiver duos in the league.
Not even on my list.
Look.
You do your honorables, I'll do my honorables, and then we'll kick it off at the 5.
My other honorable, I wanted to put him on there. I just couldn't at this point. Amari Cooper and CD Lamb. Honorable mention as a duo. I know I left out Gallup there. I know CD Lamb is a rookie, but I love him. But I just think they're going to be really, really good this year. I think by the end of this year, I will be saying that they are, in the top 5 for sure. So,
well, if you look at overall wide receiver rooms, if you count all 3 of them,
if we did top 5 wide receiver rooms, they would easily be on this list.
They're insanely high when it comes to that. Is that your only honorables?
Those are my 2 honorables.
I have 3. So I will go ahead and say Amari and CD made the list for me. Gallup is really promising too. I just don't know where the targets are going to link up with Dak, and you never know. You have Zeke. You got to feed Zeke.
Yeah.
Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay.
Honorable mention. They're really good. They are solid as long as Jared Goff can start getting the ball down the field.
That's a really good one.
I forgot about one of them. And then I will do another promising one that I like more than Amari and CD, Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton.
Oh, I thought that was going to make your list. I knew how high you were.
It's hard to justify the rookies going right into it.
Yeah, it is. It totally is. No, I absolutely agree with you. If I had thought of that, I think that would have probably been on my honorable mentions as well. That's a great name. I'm so high on Cortland Sutton. It's ridiculous.
Cortland Sutton should truly step up as an official top 10 wide receiver by the end of the season.
I think he will.
And then as long as Jerry Jeudy can follow in the... I mean, as talented as Jerry Jeudy is, and he doesn't have to be the one.
Yeah, Jerry Jeudy has the potential to be better than Courtland Sutton. And Courtland Sutton, I think, can be a top 10 receiver in this league, period. Not just fantasy. Just
that's how I praise, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your number 5?
All right, number 5, Julio and Calvin. The Bama duo in Atlanta. Julio Jones is still an absolute baller. Calvin Ridley is really, really good number 2. I think they complement themselves pretty well because Calvin Ridley is that, kind of like quicker than fast. I mean, he's really fast too, don't get me wrong, but like just this like quick jitterbug type of receiver that can do it all at every phase. And then you have the Julio Jones that can just literally, he just can moss anybody at any time. Obviously, Julio Jones can run any route, and he's one of the greatest receivers we've ever seen, really. And it's just a great combo. Put him at 5 because Calvin Ridley has not really stepped up into that, legit wide receiver, one of the dominant receivers in the league. He hasn't come to that level yet, so that's why he's at number 5. I think they can definitely jump up this year, though.
Do you want me to do my number 5 and we'll just bounce it?
Yeah, we can bounce it. That's
all
fine.
Right. Here it is. You can go ahead and crap on me for it. I have number 5, the Arizona Cardinals, DeAndre Hopkins, and who should the last name be?
I think we're going to disagree, but the last name should be the young kid.
It is not Christian Kirk for me.
It should be Christian Kirk.
DeAndre Hopkins and Larry Fitzgerald.
You're ridiculous.
Larry Fitzgerald.
You're ridiculous.
You think after a guy...
You shit on me for Curtis Samuel. Larry Fitzgerald is a shell of himself. Go and then I'll shit on you. I'm sorry.
He has more tackles in his career than drops, and you can base that off of last season.
He's one of the greatest receivers we've ever seen.
Exactly.
Absolutely agree. There's no argument about his...
In your head, after a guy turns 36, you should euthanize him in the offseason. That's what you think. You just think total talent after you hit a certain age is gone. They're irrelevant. Push them to the side.
I think when they start to show serious decline on the field, I start to bet on them declining even more.
I really didn't see it that bad. He doesn't have as much speed and explosiveness.
He's a shell of himself.
Of himself.
But you blame
That's
Kyler.
Bold.
No, he's a shell of himself. I'll stand by that. Yeah.
A shell of himself.
Yeah, of what he used to be. Of course, he used to be one of the most dominant receivers we've ever seen.
He was asked to be the number 1 last year.
Was he? I mean, I thought it was Christian Kirk that really stepped into that number 1 role.
He didn't do well.
Yeah, he didn't. I'm not big on Christian Kirk. I don't agree with him being on your list.
DeAndre Hopkins is going to open up a lot of things for this passing game and help Christian Kirk as a whole.
Yeah.
And still leave some gas in the tank for Larry Fitzgerald. I don't think he's that bad.
I know some people that don't think that. I don't agree with this, but I know some people that think Larry Fitzgerald is going to retire before the season starts.
They can think that based on a COVID health-related issue. That's fine. But as a whole, we're talking about one of the greatest wide receivers of all time, who I really don't think has shown that much decline in himself. He's not as good as he once was. We're not talking he's going anywhere near the top 5-6 rounds in fantasy. Mm-hmm. I'm saying when you're like, because fantasy-wise, I don't think he's that relevant as a whole. Talent-wise.
Please, in the comments, let me know who is crazier.
Oh my God.
Saying Larry Fitzgerald is still is not a shell of himself, or has not declined greatly. How can we say that? Like, you're saying that Larry Fitzgerald has not declined greatly.
You're trying to get me to put words in my mouth.
I'm saying that Curtis. Which one's crazier? Am I crazier about Curtis Samuel, or is he crazier about Larry Fitzgerald? Let us know in the comments. I want to know. I want to know, because I know I'm a little crazy about Curtis Samuel, but come on.
I don't know how you hate on Larry Fitz.
I don't hate on Larry Fitz. Is fucking awesome.
Doesn't sound like it.
But if you think he's one of the top 5 wide receiver duos in the league, is he on your fantasy team?
As the number 2, he is.
Is he on your fantasy team?
Yes, he is. If I would have said Larry Fitz and Christian Kirk, you could come at my ass. You could come at my ass for that all day, every day. DeAndre Hopkins and Larry Fitzgerald. Those 2 names in itself, we were talking about 2 Hall of Famers. How can that not be it?
Because Larry Fitzgerald is old, and he's not as good as he was.
Put him down. Put the man down. Put him down.
All right. I don't think there's anything else.
True leader of the locker room. A true, just awesome guy all around. Goddamn,
amazing human being. Amazing human being. Amazing player. One of my favorite players to watch. I mean, had one of the greatest postseason runs of all time when they went to the Super Bowl that one year. Amazing player. He is not what he was. He is a shell of himself at this point in his career, based on the 2019 season. I'll stand by it. All right, we're going to go to number 4, and now you're going to give me shit, and I know you are. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce.
That's not even a receiver.
I don't care. When he plays receiver,
oh my
the best
God.
duo.
Oh, by the way, last year, 804 yards for Larry Fitzgerald. That's more than Curtis Samuel. 4 touchdowns. Whoops. I did it.
Curtis Samuel had 7 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? He did. So you have a tight end on your list?
Oh, come on. He's a giant receiver.
Your cheeks.
I am cheeks. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But how could I not put them on the list? Tyreek Hill is a baller.
If you put him as a wide receiver, they should be higher.
Yeah, I only put him this low because I knew you were going to give me shit for putting a tight end on the list.
Yeah, that's true.
Listen, Travis Kelce is one of the best slot receivers in the game right now.
I think he was top 5 in yards last year. If you account for everything.
Yeah, so I will absolutely stand by this. And then Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill. I don't need to say anything more. And then, you have Patrick Mahomes, my guy right here, wearing the jersey of Patrick Mahomes. We have to bring it up every single week who we're wearing. I think it's I stand by it. Look, you can give me shit because it's not technically a wide receiver, and if you want to take it off my list, that's fine.
No.
You know what would have happened though? DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel would have come in at number 5.
Yeah, I bet so. No, I think if you put it around those parameters, they should be higher, honestly. I mean, he's a stud. I think they're going to be doing great things for a lot of years as long as they can balance out their cap room.
I hate that I give you shit. And no, actually, you gave me love. I'm good with that. Never mind.
I'll give you love. It's fine. I'll love you on this one. And then we will go into my next one. I got it mixed up on my chart. It is Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones at number 4 for me. Some would argue higher. They are a top 5 duo. They are one of the most underrated, unspoken guys out there. And I give Kenny Golladay a lot of crap just because when it comes to me personally on my fantasy team, his ADP's around the late 2nd, early 3rd. It would be hard for me to run him as my true wide receiver 1. It would.
Yeah.
He's a 1,000-yard receiver. I think he's easily over 7 touchdowns. As long as Matt Stafford can stay healthy, he was a top 5 wide receiver going into the first 8 weeks in the season last year. Yeah. And him and Marvin Jones, 1,000-yard. I mean, each of them are going to get 1,000. They're great. Really good.
I couldn't agree more with that. They're actually higher on my list, so I'm going to wait and talk about them in a minute.
That is fine.
But my number 3 is DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Again, this is another, they could be my number 1 very soon. I think DK is just coming into.
Make that next step.
Yeah, he's going to be, he just needs to make that next step. He's just a little too young, figuring stuff out in the NFL world right now. But coming into his second season, I'm very, very high on DK. I love Tyler Lockett. I think they're an amazing duo for the Seahawks, and Russell Wilson makes them that much better.
Well, it's okay to say that going into his second year isn't just there yet. He will soon overpass Tyler Lockett for the number 1 on the team as a whole. Russ elevates these guys to the next level, and they are my number 3 on the list as well.
Oh, okay, perfect. We're good. Then my number 2 is Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay. Just to add on everything you said, I will say, look, Marvin Jones gets a lot of shit. I think Marvin Jones is a great compliment to Kenny Golladay. The obvious number 2, Marvin Jones just has the distinction of he really fell off last year when Matthew Stafford got hurt. But before Matthew Stafford got hurt, I believe he was wide receiver 14, on the season. So he was a legitimate wide receiver in fantasy for sure. Kenny Golladay was, I believe, wide receiver 13 on the season, wide receiver 14, somewhere in that ballpark. I wrote an article for Hammercast that you can check out at hammercast.com about the Lions, and I talked about that in the article, talking about the Lions and their receiving core and everything. I'm pretty high on them. I love Kenny Golladay. Actually, I want to ask you this because I actually sent a trade. This is in a league, just to set this up, where I was drafting while I was at work, and I drafted really poorly, I'll be honest. Did not set myself up with a lot of depth, and I offered to trade Kamara for CEH, that's Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Kenny Golladay.
Yeah, you win that.
You think so?
I really do.
He doesn't agree to it, but
I think you get overall depth in that.
Yeah, no, I need 2 starters, so I need an extra starter. So I was thinking,
kind of wired the same when it comes to certain players, though. I'm not that big on Kamara this year.
Yeah, and I'm huge on CEH. I think he has a
huge role in the offense. I think that there's a little bit of injury concern there, though.
Yeah.
And to think that they have no problem running Latavius whenever they have to keep him fresh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to argue. He's a top 5 fantasy pick, but you're almost forced to take him right there. Yeah. You are.
Fair enough. Let's hear your number 1.
Number 2.
Oh, number 2. I'm so sorry. 2. Yeah, my number one's next.
I will do this, and I wanted this to be my number 1, but you are right on one thing when it comes to the other option at the number 2 spot. Mm-hmm. It is Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley is my number 2.
Okay.
And it is because I have such a love for Julio Jones. He is one of my favorite wide receivers of all time, coming in like 2nd or 3rd place behind Randy Moss right here. That's where I bring mine in. It's Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones for me all time. I love him. But Calvin Ridley does need to make that next step. Great talent overall. And when you get to look at all those weapons that Matt Ryan has, they're going to do great things. You still want to see Calvin go up into the top 15-ish range. And I would say he's at the 25 right now.
Yeah.
Julio's my number 1, though. Top talent in the league, and that's what boosts Calvin up that much more.
I 100% agree with that. I think
that
that's
leaves
totally
the same
fair.
number one for both of us.
Is it OBJ and Jarvis?
OBJ and Jarvis.
Yeah, all right. So we get to kind of bounce back and forth on this one. Look, I talked about earlier how the Browns are going to be a run-first football team. That's fine. They still have the best duo of wide receiver in the league. You can't take away the talent of a Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
They've both dealt with injuries last year, so it wasn't as pretty as it could have been last season. There was a lot of issues from the coaching staff to the offensive game plan to all the other things that went into the Browns last year. It was kind of a dumpster fire. It was a waste of talent last season. I think they're going to course correct this year, and I think they're going to be dominant force at the wide receiver position. Where are you at on that?
You're good. I can't tell you how high I am on Odell Beckham when it comes to fantasy-wise. He goes in the mid-third round, sometimes in the fourth round. To think that you could get a guy who was going first wide receiver off the board a long time ago. I mean, Odell is one of the most talented guys out there, didn't go away. And when I look at the Cleveland Browns as a whole on the offense, I think they corrected every single issue that they were lacking last year. The number one thing being their offensive line. Number two being get a different guy in there to run the offense. And Kevin Stefanski is going to utilize these weapons better than I think any coach could out there that was on the open market.
Yeah.
You have Nick Chubb, you have Kareem Hunt, Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, a built-up offensive line, Austin Hooper, and Baker Mayfield. It's a ride-in for the playoffs, right? Not even to talk about Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, and all those other studs on defense.
Yeah.
They have a really good team as long as they can click, and Odell and Jarvis are best friends, and they're going to be doing it for a long time, I hope.
Hell yeah.
Number one.
What's up, guys? It is later tonight. We just had my girlfriend's birthday party, and during the party, we realized, oh, fuck, we both missed the obvious number one, at least it would have been on my list, the obvious number one wide receiver duo. Jacob had to go home, so he's on the phone right now. You can say, hey, Jacob.
Hey, guys, what's up?
And we had to come on. This has never happened before. We're fucking idiots.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of dropped the ball on this one, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, man. So we're sitting there talking with our friends. Their whole group was kind of literally upstairs hanging out and grilling. And we're sitting there and we're like, oh, top five. And every single one of our friends were like, oh, so Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are your number one. Who else was? And we just were like, shit. I didn't even mention him.
Oh, man. We both just looked at each other, and it's like, did we really just forget Mike Evans and Chris Godwin with Tom Brady in Tampa Bay? What are we doing? Like, because we were sitting there arguing about Larry Fitzgerald versus Curtis Samuel on our top five, and we forgot two of the most dominant weapons in the game right now. The only thing I can say is it goes to show that we are genuine. We do make our lists up on our own, and we don't just look and copy and paste from other people. This was a mistake on us, but that's why we're here right now owning it. So clearly my list does change up, and Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are my number one.
Yeah, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are my number one as well. There's really no contest, I don't think. I mean, it's so. I mean, they were both top five fantasy wide receivers last year. Granted, they were a high flying offense last year, but I mean, they're both legitimate number one wide receivers on the same team. They're both, I think, have bright futures. Obviously, Chris Godwin's, still in the up and, the beginning of his career, and Mike Evans is a little bit more, he's been in the NFL longer. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, but I mean, established. Yeah, that's the way to say it. But yeah, they're the clear and obvious number one wide receiver duo in the NFL, and we just totally missed them.
Well, that's good, and that's why we're here owning it, though. I mean, the argument could be is that why weren't they on our brains? Maybe they're not up there, but I can't even do that because these guys are so dominant. There's just no way you can possibly make the excuses to leave them off. It was just one of those things, and we're here. My list would continue like it normally would, just throw Mike Evans and Chris Godwin on the top. Yeah. And I guess, John, you win. That means that D-Hops and Larry Fitz are in my honorable mention.
Yes. I love winning that argument fucking 6 or 7 hours later, but it's not for the listeners and viewers. Yeah. They just listened to us argue, and now they're right here listening to us be dumbasses.
I hope the entire time they're sitting there and they're just like, because we both said it was like, I bet we have the same number one, right? And it's like, oh, yeah. And we said it, and it's like, nope, it wasn't Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
I know.
People might roast us in the comments.
I hope they do. We 100% deserve it. I hope people leave thumbs ups, comments and tell us how dumb we are, but still leave the thumbs up. You don't have to leave thumbs down. That's never fun for us. That doesn't help us out.
We already beat ourselves up.
Yeah, right. All right, man. I mean, is there anything else to say? A couple hours later, thinking about the pod. Anything else you want to say?
I think we're good. One last little tidbit: Everson Griffin did finally sign. He went to the Dallas Cowboys, so that's kind of interesting. So we will see how everything shakes up with that. Kind of a big signing for their defensive line.
Yeah, no, that's great. Now we're just sitting here like, what happens to Jadeveon Clowney? Like, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Seattle's on the table again. We'll see how it goes. But that was the big signing that happened after we finished our podcast. There's always something. So. There's always something.
All right, man. I'll let you go. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
Yep. We'll catch you next week.
See you guys. Peace. All right. I think that wraps it up here.
It's good.
Guys, thank you so much for watching on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening on the podcast app. If you made it this long, we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed a couple good arguments there. That was a lot of fun.
I still love you.
I still love you. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. That really helps us out. Leave a comment below. Let us know what you guys thought about any one of these arguments, any one of these topics. We're really interested in your thoughts. We're going to have the jersey put up next week for another giveaway. We'll let you guys know about that very soon.
AFC South.
AFC South, yes, sir.
Wide receiver. That's all I'll say. AFC South wide receiver.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. Peace out.